Welcome to Get and Keep Biz, the video learning series, and today we're going to talk about marketing research. Marketing research simply is the systematic process of gathering, analyzing, and interpreting data about a target market, customers, competitors, and of course, our marketing effectiveness. Its purpose is to help business make informed decisions about pricing, about product, about promotion, and distribution by providing valuable insights into consumer behavior, preferences, and trends. Not just information, but insights. Are you perceptive?
This is an awareness test. How many passes does the team in white make?
Go!
The answer is 13. But did you see the moonwalking bear?
Go!
Too often we see what we are looking for, bypassing the underlying insight. This video you've probably seen before. It's very old, but it's very effective in reminding us exactly what sometimes is hiding in plain sight. The moonwalking bear, how could you possibly ever miss that? So it is about conclusions, and the conclusions sometimes we can make is that when we're looking for something, we are blind to the obvious. And secondly, we can be blind to our blindness. And that's really what we have to keep in mind when we try to conduct research. Research informs decisions, as we mentioned, and it evaluates performance, the alpha and the omega, the beginning and the end. It also turns data into actionable knowledge. And third, it orients members of the firm to data-driven decisions and implementation. Those are the three things we hope that research is able to do for us, rather than being that dreaded information gathering stuff. That's boring. Three methods we use to really satisfy research objectives. Survey. An interviewer interacts with respondents to obtain opinions, attitudes, and perceptions. Observation, which is really what research is all about, whether it's observing people or data. It monitors participants' actions without direct interaction. You can do this by looking at the baseball score sheet. You can do it by doing lots of different things that have nothing to do with interacting with individuals or human beings. Measures causality. Now, causality we confuse a lot of times with correlation. Correlations can occur and really have no causality whatsoever, but we're trying to measure causality by manipulating independent variables while observing the effect of the changes it may have on the dependent variable, causality. Three roles that we'd like to employ, or three hats that we might wear as a researcher. One is the strategist. They define the research problem, set objectives, and develop a comprehensive research plan that aligns with the company's overall business strategy. That's really the key, always driving back to what the business strategy. The strategist measures that research conducted in a relevant, timely, and of course finding valuable kinds of understandings of the organization's decision-making process. It focuses on the big picture, on the long-term objectives. The strategist is one who defines the research problem, sets the objectives, and develops a plan that aligns with the business strategy. Then there's the detective. I love that little play on the word. The detective they gather and examine data from various sources, look for patterns and trends, investigate the underlying causes of consumer behavior. The detective role requires attention to detail, persistence, and the ability to connect seemingly unrelated pieces of information to form a cohesive story. The detective is really out there trying to do the important work, figure out what it really means. They employ critical thinking, analytical skills to uncover insights. And they do these things. They gather and examine data from various sources, try to clean it up and make it all relevant. They look for patterns and trends and investigate the underlying causes of consumer behavior. Finally, my favorite, the data chef. Simply put, they combine ingredients to create a meaningful and a digestible meal. Nice little metaphor for the chef. But essentially, the chef, the researcher, combines various ingredients, as we mentioned, those being data points, insights, and findings, to create a meaningful and digestible meal, which means the reports, presentations, and recommendations for stakeholders, people in the firm that are going to act on this. They synthesize complex information into clear, concise, and actionable insights that inform business decisions. The chef role requires creativity, storytelling skills, and the ability to tailor the research findings to the needs and preferences of different audiences within the organization. They essentially synthesize complex information into clear, concise, and actionable insights that inform business decisions. So when we think about this, to identify the problems that we need to solve, we need to ask three basic questions. The first one is, why is the information sought? What information is it that we are looking for? What's the purpose? How will it be used? Can we prioritize the questions? Secondly, we need to understand the decision-making environment. This may lead to exploratory research down the road, to gain a greater understanding of a concept or crystallize the definition of a problem. Third, what research activities must be conducted? We don't want to overspend or overspend our time or our resources gathering information that may not be necessary. We decide whether it should be primary or secondary. Secondary is so much cheaper because it's already out there and it may apply to our problem. We conduct focus groups. We do case studies, try to understand what might be laying out there in the open that will give us some understanding and insight into our comparable problem. We try to look at the internet in every way that we can, and that's a dangerous thing these days because there's lots of stuff on the internet that just ain't true. And finally, we look at analysis. So when we think about the routes, data being the facts, figures, and observations pertinent to the problem, we look at two things: secondary, that which is already gathered, recorded, and accessible, and primary. Primary is expensive because we're going to newly collect all that information specifically for the project at hand. We only do primary when secondary won't suffice to give us a good enough idea of what the problem might be. Under the secondary area, we look at internal data. It's very important to look at what we actually have in our own files, inputs, budgets, financial statements, sales reports, and the outcomes that may have occurred, the sales results and customer communications that were put forth. Then there's external data. We can get from the U.S. Census Bureau and we can all kinds of places like trades associations, business periodicals, things like Mintel and other kind of syndicated reports, as well as the web, as we had mentioned. There's observable data within the primary side of the coin, and that is mechanical techniques, the personal techniques, the neuromarketing techniques that give us some means to understand more deeply what's going on in the head and the mind of the consumer. Questionnaire data, idea generation techniques, and idea evaluation techniques, kind of testing hypotheses, so to speak. And then there's finally other sources like panels and experiments, information technology, data mining, social and digital scans. Regarding research types, we're talking about systematic inquiry. So we have two approaches and two goals. The first on the approach side is the qualitative. It's informal, subjective. It's used to develop insights and understandings of variables in their natural setting. We're really open-minded, looking for options here that might help inform us about the situation. The second one is much more definitive. It's quantitative. It's formal. It's objective, so to speak. As objective as you can get. It's systematic empirical investigation of observable phenomenon through statistical analysis. A lot of times these are closed-in questions. We look at options and try to measure which one might be better than another. On the goal side, we have theoretical, and that's a lot of times what academics do. They extend knowledge, usually aimed at validating a theory, like testing a hypothesis on consumer behavior. And then there's the applied, which is conducted a lot in the business world. It's conducted to better understand the market, conducted to address specific questions like, will that work? The nature of applied research is that there are three kinds of areas we look at. Programmatic. We develop marketing options through segmentation, market analysis, consumer and attitude usage, for example, studies. We test decision alternatives. This is selective. We are actually looking at making a decision about one or the other, like new products, messaging, and in-market testing. This is used at any stage of the marketing process, and we want to actually decide which route we might go. Then there's evaluative. It's used to assess program performance. That's the end of the story, so to speak, the omega, the backside, including tracking advertising recall, image reputation, and studies in consumer attitudes. Research guidance, good rules to live by. Establish a clear, focused business question first. What are we trying to get at here? Secondly, then we can turn to the research. Refine it to a research question. Third, we have to have a process. The process that basically yields a process is in context, free from bias, is methodologically sound, capable of being replicated, and reported in a manner in which one can take action. I hope that helps you understand a little bit more about research, and it's been my joy to be with you, Tim McMahon, in the Get and Keep Biz video learning series. Thank you.